Hello, this is Lino Tadros from the Training Boss, and in this video we're going to continue from our previous video, and we're going to go ahead and start our first prompt flow. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm in the project that I created in the introduction. It's completely empty at this point. It just has a deployment for GPT-4 like you saw in the previous video. If you have not seen that, please take a look if you'd like to find out how to create a deployment first, all the way at the bottom. And here, clicking on deployment, notice I have a GPT-4 deployment that took place. I'm going to go ahead under tools here on the left side and click on the prompt flow. I should not have any prompt flows at all. I'm going to go ahead and create my first one, and you have a choice between three different ones. You can create a standard flow, which would be pretty much a completion, or a chat flow, so that you don't actually have to hard code the question like you do in the standard flow. Or we're going to see later on in another video how to deal with evaluation flows if you'd like to add to the existing ones as well. I'm going to go ahead and start with a standard flow, very simple. We'll say create. We can give it a name in here. We're going to go ahead and call it flow standard. We'll say create, and from that point on, it will go ahead and create a brand new flow for you. We'll give it a few seconds and I'll come back as soon as it's finished provisioning that first flow. Excellent. And it took about maybe 30 seconds or so to provision everything, and it opened up my flow standard that I just created. That's the name of it. I can always change it by clicking on this pencil right there. But you will notice there are different pieces in this flow. Think of it as a Lego pieces, really. What you see on the right side, which is the graph, it gives you a visual way to understand what the flow is looking to accomplish. The first one is the inputs. If I click on the inputs in here at the top, that is the input area. And they created the hello world, a sample one for you to start from instead of completely empty. Of course, you can delete all that and start completely empty if you would like. But this one has a name. We can change it. It's called topic. And with type string, you have a lot of different types that you can create in here. And you will be passing a value. And this is the value that to be able to execute that specific prompt flow, because it is a standard flow, not a chat, you will need to put a value in here as well. After that, we get into something which is the joke itself, and that is the LLM piece. Notice at the top there is a plus LLM, plus prompt, plus Python, and there is more things as well. The more tools is actually grayed out because I don't have any compute power yet. That's why there is this blue button at the top that says start compute session. I can start one that is the recommended one to start playing around, or I can go ahead and do an advanced setting. I can actually choose the size of my VM with the cores and the amount of memory that I will have on them and everything else if I would like. But if you would like to just start really quickly, you can just click on the start compute session, and that will give you a VM that you can actually run this on. And from that point on, once the VM is up, the more tools would be available. More tools will allow you to add content safety and other things as well we will see in future videos. But let's go back to the joke piece. The joke here is the LLM. You will have a connection. In my case, because I already have in my project GPT-4 being deployed. If I bring it down, notice there will be the Azure OpenAI resource that I created in the first video. And once I click on it, it will have a choice to use GPT-4 or other deployments that I've used as well. And I can set the temperature, and I can set the format, whether I want to use text or JSON and so on. And we will see that in a few minutes as well. In the LLM portion, in the Lego piece for the LLM, we can not only the connection, but I can actually change the system prompt, and I can actually do the joke, the user prompt as well, a joke about, and then we pass the topic. Remember, we call the topic all the way at the top in here, that is topic. So I can actually use this as a variable to be passed in, a joke about whatever I passed, please, and so on. Also, the echo in here ended up being a Python code, okay? And that actually to take whatever input we're gonna be giving it to actually be able to write it out so I can see it in the output itself. So this is something that we don't even have to do if we're gonna use a chat flow, for instance. But for a specific standard flow, we need to let it know how we would like to spit this out once the output comes back. And then finally the output, and that is the joke itself. We can give it whatever name we want. And the options that I have in here, in my case, it will always be the echo.output coming in from Python. I can also say joke.output. I won't say input.topic, otherwise whatever I pass is exactly what's going to be put out without going through the joke LLM itself at all. Does that make sense? So it's very simple, hello world kind of thing. Later on, we will see also there is different places where it says activate config. This is where you can say when something happened, whether it's boolean, integer, string, double, and I can say a condition. So maybe I will have an if else to do something else in case a condition that was not met. I can make it as complicated as I want. We will not do that in the first video. I just want to go ahead and run this to see what will happen. If notice run is grayed out. The first thing I'm going to have to do, first of all, let's go ahead and save this, even though I didn't really make a lot of changes. I don't like the UR bot can tell good jokes. Actually, that can tell good jokes. How about that? And now we can save it again. Let's go ahead and start a VM. We'll start a compute session. And that usually takes about maybe 10 seconds or so. And Azure AI Studio will give you a compute session that you can run this on. I'm going to come back as soon as it completes the provisioning of the VM. And actually, it didn't take more than 20 seconds, actually. The compute session is running, as you can see in here. And now more tools is enabled. Now I can click on it. I can see I can do content safety, embeddings, open model LLM, SERP API, index lookups from FICE, from Pinecone, from Azure AI search. All of these things will be available for us as well. All right. So now I can actually run this, but if I run this, I'm probably going to get an error because I don't have an input. See, we'll go ahead and say topic string value. So let's go ahead and say I would like to actually make a joke about, let's say, fruits. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and say save again, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. And you will see there are going to be some, empty connection. Remember what I told you, you have to tell it what the connection is for the Azure OpenAI. So it actually gives you a hint here that, hey, you don't have a connection. I can say run anyway, it will not work. But if I go back here to the joke, that is the connection, I'm going to choose my Azure OpenAI connection there. And I'm going to go to the deployment name. You can have a list of all the deployments. I only deployed GPT-4 for right now. Let's click on it. I can set the temperature to 0, anywhere between 0 and 1. I'm going to come in here with, say, for instance, 0.4 or something like that. How many, what's the maximum amount of token you want to utilize? We'll say 256. Later on, we might bump it up if we have multiple prompts and we have history and memory that we need to keep around. 256 is just fine for now. Also, the response format could be in text or in the JSON object. I'm going to say text for right now. Let's go ahead and save this again, and let's give it a shot one more time. We'll say run, and this time it should not be complaining that there is no connection. And you will see these two things are spinning now. It's in the middle of actually running this entire flow. And once they become green, it should be done, and hopefully it created a joke for us based on fruits. All right, so let's go all the way down to outputs, and I can actually take a look at it in here, or easier on the eye to click on view full output, and it will tell you what the output is. Why did the grape stop in the middle of the road? Because it ran out of juice. All right, great. That's a very ha. Alrighty. But also you get more information in here regarding the amount of token you use for the prompt, the amount of tokens you used for getting back the response, and the total between both of them, and how long it took actually in seconds to be able to accomplish that. So there's a lot of statistics in here. I can see the input, fruits. Notice my topic was fruits. That is the output. I can do the tracing, so I can see the whole thing. How did the communication go back between the LLM and our prompt flow? Everything is in here. So if you'd like to get into deeper in there, because remember with GPT-4, you automatically get a medium level content safety for harmful speech, self-harm, violence, sexuality, all of that stuff. So if you go down, you'll notice you did pass actually the hate, the self-harm, the sexual, and the violence content safety automatically. So there is a lot more information that you can definitely get out of that as well. Make sense? So that is the first video I wanted to show you regarding a very simple Hello World from Flow to give you an idea how that stuff works. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again in a lot of more videos about prompt flow coming up. Thank you.